Hi everyone, thanks for joining. We're just going to wait for a couple more minutes for everyone to join and Michelle will kick off then. Wait about another minute or so. Okay, I think we'll just kick off now. So just want to say thanks everyone for joining. My name is Treva, I work in marketing here at TitanHQ. Michelle's going to give an overview along with James. And so yeah, I'll hand it over to you now, Michelle.
Yeah, thanks so much, Treva, and thanks everyone for joining us this morning. Yeah, we're delighted to be here to present our new interface to you on our WebTitan. So just a little background, I guess. I've been with Titan almost 2 years, and since joining, I've been involved in bringing this new kind of UI to the WebTitan product. And our main aim here is really just bringing something that's like enjoyable to use, visually pleasing, and to bring about operational efficiencies in our WebTitan product. So I'll just show you what we're going to do today, and I'll let James introduce himself as well. So we're going to give like a little walk through our product to show our navigation system. We're literally going to be demonstrating our existing content and our existing features that we have in WebTitan. We'll dig a little deeper then into our new reports, and we'll talk about one of the new features then in our latest release of WebTitan. So I'll just pass over to James there to introduce himself.
Hi there, and this time I remembered to turn the audio on, which is always good, a good start. So you're very welcome here today. My name is James O'Mara. I've been with WebTitan the last year, and I'm responsible for the data analytics reporting that you'll see embedded in WebTitan today. So if you have any questions around the data analytics, feel free to post them through at any time. Okay, Michelle.
That's great. Thanks, James. Yeah, so we'll just kick it off here. So here is our new WebTitan. I'm logged in here as a test customer that we have set up. So as you can see, this is your landing screen. So when you log in, this is what you're presented with. So you can see we have some like quick action tasks that you can carry out, such as add, allowed, or block domain, add a location, or customize a policy. You can see your graph of traffic for today. So you can see like our blocked and allowed requests coming through here. And then down here, you can see we have the ability to choose a date that you want to see maybe some stats for. So here I just selected yesterday. So you can see yesterday some nice stats around our total number of requests, our unique domains, the grouped allowed domains and blocked domains. The nice little visual representation then of our top allowed categories, our top blocked categories, top allowed domains, top blocked domains, and our top allowed users and blocked users. So that's there, just our landing page, a nice view there when you land on and sign in. Linking off that then, we've got our recent traffic. So in here, we just show the top most recent 500 requests. So this can be quite useful, I guess, to feed in from the overview screen. You just see the time of the request. So if you're trying to troubleshoot something, maybe you have your search capability. You can show the user where the request has come from, the destination of the request, and then the action, whether it was allowed or blocked. So we just have sorting then on each of those. And we show the category then that this domain is associated with. So you have the ability there to export. So if you want to do some additional looking into any of the last 500 requests. And then we've got some additional fields. So you can add and remove fields as you see fit. So here you can just add the effective policies, which is probably quite a useful one. So I can see then that a particular user was trying to access this domain, and this is the category of the domain. This is the external, the IP, the source of it, and this is the policy that's applied to it. And then your ability to search then here as well. To show your search results. So that's our recent traffic. And now I will move on to our content filtering. So in here we have our customized policies, our allowed and blocked domains, and the customization of our blocked page. So our policies, in here, this is where we allowed the user to create their own new customized policy to suit them. So in here, yeah, it's just a nice, intuitive, simple user interface. Add your policy name and description, and then you choose one of our kind of pre-canned filtering categories. So as you can see here, we've just identified what we feel is essential. As you can see there in the tooltip, anonymizer, compromised, criminal hacking skills, hate speech, phishing, fraud, spam, spyware, or malicious sites. So we just classified that as an essential grouping of categories to block. Enhanced then is a couple additional categories in addition to the essential, and optimum then includes essential and enhanced plus a few more. So you can create your policy there, and then you can customize it a little deeper. So here's one I've just created earlier. So what can you change on it? You can update the name, you can update the description at any time. You can turn on and off safe search. You can allow and disallow classified traffic. And down here then, probably the more important one is that you can customize this a little further. So you can decide to add or remove some categories to filter a little bit more and save your update so that you've well customized your new policy here. And then we've just grouped some nice headings here. So everything associated with that policy itself. So allowed and blocked domains. So see in here, again, you can just search for your allowed block domains. We actually support import as well. So you can import a file here. If you have a list of allowed and blocked domains that you have and you want to apply them to multiple policies, for example. So you can import them in here. As you see, they're just displayed straight away on page. You can select and delete to update. You can export again if needed, and allow and block, just add an individual one then as well. So in here with your options of include, subdomain, or log requests for reporting. So nice simple flow there to add allowed and block domains to your customized policy. And the next thing you can do here then is to add notifications. So if I want to receive an email that a certain block domain, let's say gambling or hate speech, has been accessed by users, I can choose to set up a notification for that, and the email that's entered in here will allow us to send an email to that specified email address and notifying, I guess, the details of the block and who tried to access that. And then locations. So this is the locations to which this specific policy is assigned, and that traffic then under that location or coming through that location will have this policy assigned to it. So it's just a nice view. And then I have another one here. It's going to show. So we also show devices in here. So like locations, it's a nice view to see this. Okay, these are the locations that are implementing this policy. And in addition, we have devices. So these are the OTG devices that are implementing this policy as well. So these are all clickable. They'll bring you down into that specific device itself. So I can click on that to bring it down, and we'll just pop back to finish it off. But just shows a nice route there from my policy all the way down to my device. And there you are, and all the devices that are associated with this or implementing this policy. So again, you've got the search function, the ability to export, and I think everything is on screen there for the devices. So as I mentioned here, here's your allowed and blocked domains. And this feeds in then to the next page. So the next screen we have here is the domains. So this is an accumulated list of all the allowed and blocked domains which have been added to each individual policy. So when I click in here, I'll see the list of all the domains for all of my policies. So here's the policy. So here's the ones I just imported there a minute ago. And then these are the other policies where I have added, allowed, and blocked domains. So again, you can search for a particular one. You can export your list, and you can add, allowed, and blocked in here as well. So if you know the policy that you want to extend by adding an allowed or blocked domain, you can add that in here as well. So the next thing then just to show is our customization of our block page. So I guess these all fit closely together. So if we're setting up a customized policy or blocking specific category, we might want to add some block domains to it. And in addition, we might want to customize our block page. So we have all of these here under our content filtering. In here, you can just choose your logo that you might want to customize. So just some samples there. So just choose that one there, sorry. So you can choose your logo. You can update the page title then that's going to show on your block page. You can show the access denied message that you want your end users to see and update the footer. And we're just showing a little live update there to the right. And you can just save that. And the next section then we have is our environment. So we've got our location, so which will be, I guess, the source of all of our traffic. We've got our OTG2 devices. We've got our Active Directory groups, and we've got our end users. So the locations. So here we have the list of all the locations that are set up on this system, and in here we'll have our capability to add the location that we need. So I guess the regular one would be the static IP. So again, just give it a useful name, so the office location, give it a description, you add the IP of your static location, and then here you choose your policy which you want to assign to the traffic coming into this location. So you just choose that there then and save it. Again, you can revisit it by just selecting it, getting brought to the screen here, and then you can adjust the policy. You can update the name of the location at a later point. And in addition to that, I'm just going to select one here where we have devices. So this location is assigned to this OTG device. So it's just a nice, again, a representation of if I'm updating this location, if I'm adjusting the policy, I can see that I'm going to impact all of these devices that are sitting under here. So again, like you got the export, if you're doing any analysis of the devices, you can show the policy associated with it, extend that, you can download. So that's our locations, I guess, one source here just to add all the applicable locations that we might want. And you can select one then to delete as required. Same with the other, I guess, the other tables and all the screens. Next one we have here is our devices. So this is our OTG2 devices. So when OTG is installed on your Chromebook or your Windows device, it creates the entry in here. So a device entry, unique device entry per endpoint. So again, this just shows the list of all the OTG devices that are installed on my system. I can select one of them then to add or update. So you can adjust the name. I can adjust the location that's associated with it or the policy. I can extend my JSON, view extra information about it, the device specifically, or I can add my device exception. So I'm going to talk about the device exceptions in a little bit, just under our settings. So this is something new that is part of our very latest release, which is a partial replacement, I guess, for our JSON config. Again, it's a more simplistic and easy to use interface for introducing your configurations for your devices. So I'll talk about that in a little minute. But that's our list of devices there. And again, just the ability to select, to view, to export, or update, or delete is all supported on this page. The AD groups then. So I don't have direct traffic on this system or today hooked up for Active Directory, but in here it's a view of our Active Directory groups, which have been imported from AD. So they just all show up here, and again, you can just select one, similar to the locations. You can select any Active Directory group and adjust the policy associated with it, and it'll show the users that are linked to that as well. And then the final one then, I guess, where all the policies are applied would be the users. So in here, you'd see your list of OTG end users or your imported Active Directory users. And you can select your user in here, and you can update the description of it or just the policy associated with them. But as you'll note there, you can't, you can delete here if it is a OTG user, but if it's an Active Directory user, they're not available for deletion. That's all managed through Active Directory. So that's all our environment areas there. The next section is our reporting. So we're going to come back to that because we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that. So we'll just finish off then with the other piece of functionality here. So here's our administrators. So this is just the administrators directly of this account. And the same again as it supported functions and all the other tables, like you have the ability to select to delete. You can add a new administrator, and you can select to update. So update the name or description or the password. Our next item here is our default policy. So when this customer account is created, it'll be given the default policy, which is fine to use and often perfect. That's, I guess, why we have our groupings or content filtering. I guess why we created the definition of essential, enhanced, and optimum. And sometimes it's like quite useful to just apply and implement that. But again, we also provide the customization to add additional policies for different business areas as needed. And as with the customized policy, you can see the list of allowed and blocked domains as well. And the same capabilities here to import, export, and add allowed or blocked domains. Our next section here is our tools. So in here then you can just test the categorization of a URL or a web page. So you can see here it's categorized as health, restaurant, and shopping for Tesco's. And we also have the recategorization as we have today. So you can just select to recategorize a specific URL if you feel it is miscategorized. So you can choose your options from in here and choose submit. The next thing we have then is our certificates. So as mentioned here then, that if a WebTitan certificate, if it hasn't been installed and someone visits a HTTPS enabled website and the policy applied to that user, to that incoming traffic, that it'll block it, that the browser itself will return a certificate error. So this is why we would use the cert then to download. So again, this is just a nice simplistic, nice user interface there to download your cert and apply it to your users' devices. And this is the PEM cert then. So this is the one that's specific for OTG Chromebooks. So this one, you can see that in our documentation, you upload it through the Google Workspace, and that supports the display of the block page on the Chrome device. And I'll go back to talk about our device exceptions now in a second. And then the device configuration. So this is this is everything related to the install of our OTG device. It's our OTG install key, the policy you want applied to every device that's coming in, and the device exception that's applied, and the JSON config. So that brings me to talk about the device exceptions. This is something new in our latest release, is our initial attempt to replace the use of the JSON. So our first move was to try and replace everything that's related to a filter, specifically a filter. So what can I do in a device exception? So this is the replacement for where if I want to bypass OTG, if I'm coming from a certain IP, or if I want to bypass OTG or just not use OTG as a filtering, if I am coming from let's say your internal office, or if I want to bypass OTG if I'm accessing a specific domain. So those type of scenarios, or if I want to use an alternative resolver in a specific scenario. So I'll just demonstrate one here. So how do I add a device exception? It's literally just a name. This will be our container. for all the rules that we want to add. So I just select that. So just a description of here of what is a rule. It's an adjustment that you want to add to your device. So one or many rules can be added to a device exception, and then that device exception is applied to a device. So we have two rule types. One of them is bypass OTG, which means don't use OTG when at a particular domain and or when accessing a particular domain. Sorry, when at a particular IP and when accessing the particular domain. And the second option then is to use a specific resolver. So you want to use a different resolver than the WebTitan backend. So you want to use a specific resolver when you're at a particular IP and or when you're accessing a particular domain. So I'll just show what we can do here. So here we are. This would be like one example would be I want to bypass OTG. So don't use OTG for filtering if my source IP is this. Okay, so that's one option. The other option is I want to bypass OTG if my source IP is this and I'm trying to access domain, this domain. And the third option would be I want to bypass OTG if I'm accessing this domain. So again, you don't need to think too much around like trying to generate the JSON config. It's a nice simplistic user interface, and you can group them all then under the one exception. And the second option then is to use a specific resolver. So the same again, you have three possibilities. You can set up to use a specific resolver. Choose the resolver. So this is mandatory. I'm saying I want to use this resolver when my source IP is this. Or I want to use a specific resolver when I'm accessing a particular domain. Or I want to use a specific resolver when my source IP is this and I am accessing a given domain. So that's it. I guess you have 6 possibilities of pulling together, and you can do them all there on the one pop-up by choosing the option that's applicable to you. So what that has done then is, so see, name test is what I've called that one. I'm just going to go back to my device exceptions. So you can see now, this is the name test. This is my container for all my rules. I can see here that it's got a rule count of 4. If I click this little pencil here, you can see I can update the name or the description. And you can see then that the device count is none. So that means this device exception itself is not actually added to any device yet. But this one here is added to one device, and the sales demo one is added to one device, and this one is added to one device. So again, this is kind of useful information there, because if I'm going to edit this device exception, I can see that it's going to impact this number of devices. So what can I do then with my device exception? What you can do with it now is you can choose it here under your device exception. So I can choose whatever device exception I have. So only those with rules will show up here, and I can select it and save. So then every OTG that's installed on my device now will pick up and use this device exception. It'll use this policy as well. So you just the setup and prep before you install them. And just to mention then, a little notice here that the device exceptions now will take precedence. So we're backward compatible with anyone who's using the JSON config at the moment, but if device exceptions will take precedence over filters specifically. If a device exception is applied to a device, anything that's in the filters themselves will be ignored, but we still support something like tray type, or if you're using a VPN or something like that, we'll still pick up the JSON config from in here. So that's one place where you'd assign your device exception, and you can assign it then directly on a device. So back here to this device here, you can see that this device has the sales demo device exception assigned to it. So I can click into it and I can decide to make a change to that. So here's my available options. I can change and save for a different exception to be assigned to that device. So that's kind of the 2 places where you apply it. So I guess it's kind of like set them up once and apply them as needed. So yeah, that's kind of the run through, I guess, our whole kind of menu system, and our effort to bring things into like a proper location where you expect to find them, and to make your flow of work like quite simplistic. So now, yeah, we're going to do a little dive into our reports, and going to, I guess, Anthony, James, where you feel you want to jump in on the data analytics side, yeah, please feel free to jump in. So I'll give a little walkthrough first, maybe, and if anything comes up, James, which feels valuable, feel free to jump in. So thanks a million. So here we have, like, we've our similar batches of reports that we have today. We've got our behavior reports, blocked reports, security reports, and trend reports. Our behavior reports, then we've got a report then by user, by Active Directory group, behavior reports by category, by location, by domain, by policy, and by source IP. So here you can see we can choose date range, so you can broaden or narrow your date range as needed. You can filter on a specific user, and you can just see the numbers are updating here as I've adjusted the date. You can get a nice slice here of the percentage of requests that are associated with the users, and you can see then the requests by date. So I've narrowed that down there now, so it's shown September. So you can see then here, these are kind of the users that are associated with these specific requests based off this time range. And you can expand the user then, just as you can see here, like, so the total requests, total domains, and yeah, percentage of requests. So I've just expanded one of the users there, and you can see then the categories that this user is accessing. So these are all allowed traffic. So you can just see all the categories then that are associated with that. And you can select your graph then to zone in on a particular user. It'll update the table then. Yeah.
It's important to note as well, you're seeing only one dot in that graph for the date. That is, you can drill down into the days. So that's by month. So it's a trend over time. So you see user requests over time. So if you want to select an individual user or all the users, you're seeing actually the requests over time. There we've drilled down into the month, and you see it on a daily basis. So it depends on the time frame you're going for. But if you want to actually drill into by month or by day, you can see the trend there over time. And also, as Michelle actually so well just explained to us there, by drilling into the user, you see in the categories they're doing. So it's the subcategories are showing with the sub values in there. So the requests by user by category, domains by user by category, and the percentage of those requests by user by category. It's also very important to note, if you highlight over in the top corner there, Michelle, the reason for analytics as opposed to actually reporting is this is a splice and dice mechanism. When you're happy with the data you'd like that you see, you can export it. So either by you can go to the right hand side, just Michelle, of the visual, the tabular graphic below. You go down and you see the three dots over in the right hand side top corner. In there you have the ability to export the data. So again, you can export that into summarized into CSV or an XLS. So you can have a nice formatted Excel where you have drop downs and filtering in the Excel, where you can create more graphs to generate what you'd like to see, or indeed to just investigate the data further in your own terms. So they're just a couple of little neat facilities within the data analytics, all the data analytics screens that export and investigative features in the data analytics platform.
Yeah,
Sorry,
great.
Michelle,
Thanks, James. No, that's great. Yeah, to dig deeper on that. So you can do, like, I think it's similar then to all of these reports. We have those capabilities like of drilling and viewing. Yeah. Great.
Analytics really is a splice and dice mechanism. You can go in and investigate rather than just have everything thrown at you. Go in and look by date, by category, by user, by whatever you're searching for, being able to filter, identify, and then export if you like at the end of the day.
And so the groups then are allowed traffic by group. So this is Active Directory group. So I have no Active Directory group set up on this instance. So you'll see all the traffic is actually grouped as non-AD group traffic. the categories then. So this is the categories, I guess, the traffic that we have routed through our system and the categories that they are categorized as. So you can see here, this graph represents the top 10 percentage of traffic of categories. So you can just see, like, you can filter up and down here, and it's a nice view then here of all the categories. We can expand them to view, I guess, a little more detail on them. Again, we can just search again, the category search. You can choose a specific category you want to search on or zone in on them. Or as James had mentioned, yeah, like you can right click here, yeah, and do your drill down. So you can see here then the online ads. You can see, I guess, the users that have accessed that category. And then you can drill a little further again into a specific user. You can see, like, so the total request online ads for this user is 154. The total domains is 13. And then you can show the detail, then the actual domains that they did try to access. So it's quite useful. Same for locations then. So all of our requests come through and it's by location. So this gives a nice view of the locations, I guess, that are active in your system. And you can see then, I guess, which ones are the most active, where's most of the traffic coming from. And you can pick then and drill again. So you can see then here's the source IPs for this specific location itself. So similar again, because we've got the same layout for all of these within the behavior reports. And the domains, this is just showing like all the domains then. So that within this time frame, again, we're showing the top 10 up here, and we can drill a little deeper here. So if I choose September here and do a drill down, as James had mentioned there, we can show it like a representation then over time, which can be quite useful. And then sorry,
one thing it's important to notice, if there's a slight lag loading the report, you'll notice that has loaded data for 8 million requests in the last screen when we loaded that first. It's done the calculations on what is the top 10 and the percentage of those requests. It's done an analysis over time and actually been able to drill down by, in this case, domain, the individuals who access that domain, categories, etc. So that kind of response rate for over 8 million requests, fairly instantaneous, is also a very valuable feature of this data analytics product.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, as you mentioned there, yeah, the further drill down, so I can see like a particular domain that's being accessed, and I can identify the users who are accessing it as well. So yeah, very useful information. And then we've got the policies. So we'll see then these are all the active policies on the system. So it's even a view in here, I can see what policies are actively being used by the traffic that's entering the system. And I can see the total requests coming through again for the time frame. So you can expand it and narrow your range as you see fit. So again, yeah, I can just show a little drill down. So we're looking at August here. And if I do a drill down for August, that'll show me then. So my traffic starts here, say on the 29th of August, and I can see the last 3 days of August here where the traffic flow is. So it started a little lower, increased then, and leveled off. And then by source IP. So again, this is just our allowed traffic bundled up by source IP. So these are all the source IPs where the traffic is actually coming from. As James said, look at, we've massive numbers coming through here. And you can expand then again to further see what's associated with this IP. So you can see the user. And you can further extend that then to see the exact sites, I guess, that we're trying to access by that user. So each of them all offered their own like kind of individual drill downs to further see the information relating to that. So that's our behavior reports, and the block reports are quite similar in the sense that we've got the same kind of breakdown of user, group, category, location, domain, and by source IP, except obviously this is all our block traffic. So this might be one, I guess, that people might zone in on a little bit more, in the sense that, you know, have I got high figures on the blocked traffic? Why have I got such high figures on blocked? And, you know, maybe who's accessing all these blocked categories and what are those domains that are being accessed. So again, just a nice view of being able to see who the users are, being able to see the total number of requests that are blocked, and then to zone in then on the actual category that is blocked. It's great. And again, the user, so this is blocked by Active Directory groups. So I can choose to filter as well on the group, on update the date range, and then I see my graphical representation and the data associated with that. So those are all the users that are not actually assigned to an Active Directory group because they are like anonymously coming in over a static IP, or they're coming in via, this is the Chromebook and this is coming in via Windows OTG. Then we've got.
Sorry, Michelle, can I just step in one more thing?
Yeah.
By identifying users accessing block traffic, the ability to actually identify risk or risky users in an organization can also lead to a sister product on the thing, which is SafeTitan, which actually trains or distributes policy, company policy to staff, giving details around the policy around web usage. So these things all lead into identifying human risk, human training, policy training, policy distribution, and all those can be also those needs can also be solved through the TitanHQ's sister product, SafeTitan. Yeah.
That's great, James. Yeah, absolutely. Let's move along a little bit. I suppose we're kind of closing on time. So again, the blocked reports are the same as the behavior reports, except obviously it's blocked traffic. The categories one here is lovely representation here. So we've got like the top 10 categories that are getting blocked. Again, very useful information. You know, you can identify if something's getting blocked a lot. Should I have it on all of my policies, or who is accessing, you know, a particular category? How important is it to me to make sure that those categories are blocked? So again, yeah, like you can expand on like a particular one that might be, you know, so maybe important to look at. You can identify the user then and the total number of requests that they have carried out in accessing that category. You can see the percentage of requests then associated with that user, and you can identify the actual domains that they did try to access. So again, like lots of drill downs there to add additional and useful information all in the one page. You're not clicking over and back. Yeah, so the locations, domains, policies, again, the same as, and the same drill down capabilities as the behavior reports. So I'll just click on then to the security ones. So the security reports then, so our top one there, the malware infected. So that's traffic that has come in and that has been classified as compromised or spyware and malicious sites. So we show here straight away the IP that try to access those sites. You can see again the total number of requests, the total domains that were accessed, categorized as that, and the percentage of requests then. So you can see then, yeah, who the user was, I guess, that was accessing, you know, that those sites were classified as compromised, spyware, or malicious. Again, spyware, malicious sites, and then it's a drill down by domain. So you can see there's total of 10 domains with the number of requests. And again, this is the top 10. So malware infected then by user. So again, we can adjust the date range, broaden it, expand it, identify the user then who would access domains that are categorized as malware or malicious sites. Yeah, sorry, malicious or compromised or spyware. And then the next batch then we have is the phishing. So phishing, yeah, so the classification for these reports are phishing and fraud. And this is the blocked then by client. So again, it's the IP, and then we can drill down and see the user. The phishing sites then by domain, so drill down into those sites that were actually accessed and classified. as phishing or fraud. And you can see the ones that were accessed. You can expand them then to view a little more. This should allow us to see the IP or the user who attempted to access it, or actually what is categorized as. So again, this one was accessed like 1,404 times. So again, useful information for specifically, I guess, for anything that might be worrisome for, you know, as a site or as a category is being accessed, and that's blocked then by user. So again, it's probably the same data then as phishing sites by domain. We're drilling down into the user themselves who accessed it. There, so that's that one. And the trend reports then. So here we show then, this is our requests by hour. So again, another nice report here to show, I guess, what's our busiest time of the day. So this is shown over this time range, you know, so from the 29th of August to the 22nd of September. I can see which, what is the busiest time then on my system. There you are, and you can zone in then on a particular date. So like you can even, I could zone in maybe to like this week maybe. And that should update to show me like the same time range, but it's shown this week then that maybe 9 o'clock was probably the busiest time. And then requests by date then. So again, August into September, I can see the peaks and the quieter times for traffic. I can see the number of requests of the September and August. I can expand that. So it's shown here like the percentage of overall requests, and I can show then by day the traffic then per day. So is there anything you want to add to that, James, on the reporting themselves? Are you happy enough to? Yeah.
No, I think they're literally just giving you a bit of a brief insight into peaks and troughs on your DNS traffic. So that's all I have to add there, really.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, like I see one or two questions coming in there. So there's one. Is there any upgrade to the core functionality? So like everything then on the new UI is all done via API. So and in addition, I guess we're like looking at feature parity, I guess, bringing our existing features and functionality, our much used and loved features and functionality into a more visually pleasing and I guess easier to use interface. But in addition, in our latest release, as you can see, we did more with our reporting and kind of data analytics to bring more value to our customers. In the latest release, we've also introduced our log offload capabilities. So you can download and store your logs in JSON format, and the device exceptions as well that I just walked through there. So our effort in replacing the JSON configuration with a nice interface where you can create your required, I guess, exceptions to your OTGs that you want to use and assign them then in a simplistic manner. So.
Can you repeat the question there, Michelle? I don't see the question here.
Yeah, the question is, are there any upgrades to the core functionality?
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry. I thought it was asking for future.
Oh, yeah.
It's not for future developments. Is that part of the question too?
Is there? No, just are there any upgrades yet to the core functionality?
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah. And I guess like we'll continuously be improving and adding, like as I said, in our latest release, our initial releases, let's bring the beauty to WebTitan Cloud and the simplistic of use, and then like we're building on then our other features, as I mentioned there, the log offload and our data analytics via our reporting. So let me see, was there another one here? 1 second. Yeah, there's an ask there, when is the latest upgrade available for us? So yeah, you've probably received communication about this, and the plan is actually to upgrade next Monday. So all these functionality will be available to you come next Monday. That is our plan.
That was brilliant. Thank you so much, Michelle and James. If there's any other questions, you can send them into the chat and we will send a response, or you can email Michelle directly. But we will send a recording of the webinar to everyone after the event. That way, if you missed any parts, or you can send directly to your other team members, you can see everything. So yeah, that kind of wraps it up. Thanks again for everyone for joining, and we hope to see you at a future TitanHQ webinar.
Great, yeah, thanks very much, Treva, James. Thanks all, yeah, for taking the time out to join us. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.